I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Watchung Borough Board of Education on April 29th, 2021 at 7 p.m. May we please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, oops, sorry, guys, hold on. To change my screen, give me a second. Okay, welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that the advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung at which formal action may be taken. This meeting is being conducted remotely using communication technology. Instructions for joining the meeting and participating in public comments have been posted on the district website and sent to the Watchung Borough and the Watchung Public Library, as well as to the school community through an email blast. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda at points in the meeting provided for the public to address the board. Members of the public also have been given the option to submit public comments to the board secretary via email or written letter no later than 24 hours in advance of the meeting. Recording or photographing other than for private personal use requires the consent of parents/guardians whose children may be included in the image. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barbella.
Here.
Mr. Buccarelli. Not here. Mrs. Harvey.
Here.
Mrs. Ingracia. I know that Mrs. Ingracia was having audio difficulties, so I'm going to come back to her. Mr. Kraft.
Here.
Mrs. Murad.
Here.
Mrs. Posehn.
Here.
Mrs. Scharf.
Here.
And Mrs. Ingracia, are you on? I do not see her in.
Maybe she signed out and then she's going to sign back in.
Yeah, she said she was going to try and sign back in. We can move forward and I'll just record when she gets here.
Okay. Are there any board member comments? Right, hearing none, we'll move to the superintendent's remarks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I want to begin with the great news that the COVID case rates across the state continue to decline, and the entire state is now at the moderate level. This allows us, as I've said in previous messages to the community, to combine cohorts at Valley View, and we're very excited about the educational benefits of that change. We also were very pleased that we were able to resolve an issue with the bus company and can extend the early dismissal schedule to 2:15 at Bayberry and 1:10 at Valley View. Moving to that 2:15 dismissal helps increase in-person time by 6.25 hours each week and also helps us balance screen time for our all remote learners. As I've said before, and based on feedback we received regarding the full day hybrid model, we chose the extended early dismissal schedules because they provide the best balance of benefits for all of our students, in person and remote alike, at this point in the pandemic. As Mrs. Fickner previously shared in April, the benefits for Bayberry students include longer periods to explore concepts on a deeper level. The student day would become 5.5 hours. There'll be 30-minute periods, 60 minutes of math instead of 40, 90 minutes of English language arts instead of 60. Our teachers will remain very conscious of the need for frequent movement breaks and screen time breaks throughout the day for both in-person and remote learners. Small group instruction will take place during the revised schedule as a natural component of the day's lesson, which reduces screen time in the afternoon, creates greater flexibility, and allowing the students to end the day with recess at home from 3 to 3:30. In-person students will have a physically distanced lunch outside, just as they do for snack now. We also have ordered a tent for the upper parking lot and anticipate its installation next week. In addition, a weather-related contingency plan allowing for physically distanced lunches with at least 6 feet between students in the APR and library is in place. Both spaces are large and well ventilated. Use of the contingency plan will be the exception rather than the rule, and reserved only for days when the kids can't go outside because of a steady rain. We are grateful that the PTO is providing volunteers to assist our staff with supervision, and we look forward to getting started. At Valley View, the 110 dismissal allows the students to have their period 5 electives in person each day. There will not be a lunch period, but if students choose to bring in a piece of fruit or a snack bar, safe and flexible accommodations will be made. This is typical in other districts. And just to be clear, entire classes will not be eating snacks at the same time in a classroom at Valley View. It's also important to note and keep in mind, given the current bus arrival times of between 12:40 and 12:45, we're talking about a half hour or less of additional time before students will have lunch at home. In addition, remote students will still have the flexibility in their afternoons, which would not be possible if a full-day model at Valley View were implemented. All this has been reviewed with our local health official, and he fully supports our changes. The administrative leadership team has worked long and hard to prepare for this improved model. We're grateful for the time and support of the board committees and the board as a whole. We are likewise very grateful for the staff's flexibility. And we appreciate too, of course, everyone's cooperation and support in following the health and safety protocols. We've had far fewer positive cases in our community. I'm sending out far fewer messages. And so let's keep that going and make sure everyone stays safe. School-specific information from the principals is ready to go out to families tomorrow. As we move into the enhanced model, we ask for everyone's patience and extend our gratitude at the same time for your support. We're excited for a smooth transition. On a separate note, I want families to know that the principals will be sharing individual iReady reports next week. The reports will show the diagnostic test results from earlier this year. We're planning another diagnostic test later this spring. We're pleased with the initial results. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Tota for a brief special services update. I want to thank her for her efforts to raise awareness for and acceptance of autism this month. We all wore our CPAG fundraiser t-shirts with pride today. Mr. Tota.
Thank you, Mr. Alexis. We did look to raise awareness and acceptance of individuals with autism during the month of April. This was done through a variety of activities, including a puzzle piece mural at Bayberry, a puzzle piece heart at Valley View, wearing red day, wearing blue day, the CPAG t-shirt and jeans day, like Mr. Alexis just said. We also encouraged families to take walks and discuss autism to raise awareness and acceptance. Our final project for this month will be an Infinity Acceptance Project. That shift from autism awareness to autism acceptance has been a large movement in the autism community recently. The reason behind that being that acceptance is passive. Awareness is passive and acceptance is active. So by being accepting, we're asking questions, we're understanding, we're talking to friends, we're including everyone, we're showing our support for individuals, and we're striving to make a difference. In addition to those activities, we were lucky to have Melissa Brady Petrillo, the author of Sometimes, join us for a virtual reading of her book. Following that reading, our students at Bayberry had the opportunity to ask questions, which were impressive to all of us. On Monday night, we had a CPAG meeting where we did talk about autism, our Autism Awareness Month activities, applied behavior analysis, and what our program and services look like in district for individuals with autism now, and ideas for moving forward. We provided some resources for more information in the Autism Society and Autism Speaks. And we provided upcoming dates for CPAG meetings. On May 5th, the Watchung Hills Regional High School Sending District CPAG meeting will be held. And the topic for that meeting will be a transition from the sending districts to the high school. That information has already been shared with 8th grade parents, but if any of our 8th grade parents feel they haven't received it, they should reach out to us. On May 24th, our Watchung Borough CPAG meeting will be held also to discuss transitions. For us, that'll be transitions from preschool to kindergarten programs and from Bayberry to Valley View. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to the principal's reports, and we'll begin with Mrs. Fickner.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. Our students enjoyed learning about and celebrating Earth Day last Thursday. Third grade combined their in-depth poetry study and Earth Day. Their creative Earth Day poems can be seen displayed on their poet tree. So that's poet, T-R-E-E, in the hallway. Second grade students also enjoyed Earth Day poetry and wrote about ways they can help keep our earth clean. Students in kindergarten participated in an upcycle project after learning about reducing, reusing, and recycling. They designed and created their own projects and then presented them to the class. In music, students have been composing and performing their own music. Third graders used a program called Music Play Online to compose a song for the recorder and then perform their original songs on Flipgrid. Fourth graders were engaged in a similar project, but were challenged to use more pitches and perform on any instrument of their choosing. The students performed their original songs on their band instruments, the recorder, the piano, guitar, violin, virtual piano, and virtual xylophone. Thanks to Mrs. Riley for that hard work. In addition, we recently had 2 guest artists in music. First grader Owen Pressman performed on the violin for Mrs. Dursey's class and then took over as the teacher to answer questions about playing the violin. In Mrs. Salinger's class, our student teacher, Mr. Strelowitz, played guitar and sang during their music class last week. We loved all the talent that has been shared during music class. As part of their study on series books, Miss Pine's second grade class participated in a virtual Meet the Author with Nick Bruel, author and illustrator of the New York Times bestseller Boing and the Bad Kitty series. And you know, those are the popular ones, Bad Kitty. Mr. Bruel read to the students, did a drawing demonstration, and answered students' questions. The students were so excited to participate in this event sponsored by the County Library. Mondays are now officially Bayberry Spirit Days, so get your spirit wear, everybody, from the PTO. Every Monday is the day to wear school colors to show your spirit. The class with the highest percentage of students and staff wearing the school colors wins a paw print for their classroom door and gets a chance to host our mascot, Bailey. Our spirit winners so far are Mrs. Miller's class, Mrs. Mahoney's class, and Miss Deegan's class. And finally, we are excited to expand our instructional day next week so that students can be with us until 2:15. 20-minute periods will be expanded to 30-minute periods, allowing more time for deeper exploration, small group instruction, student collaboration, teacher and peer conferencing, as well as increased social emotional lessons. Thank you to all the parent volunteers that signed up to help us monitor students' lunch, and also thank you to the PTO for organizing the signups and recruiting more volunteers. So you can reach out to the PTO if you still want to join us for lunch. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Kidd.
Sorry, I lost my mute button. Good evening, everyone. April was a shortened month because of spring break, but we still had lots going on. Throughout the month, our parent organizations held various events and fundraisers to support and entertain our students. In April, the PTO held events ranging from a virtual book fair to delicious dining opportunities. I hope that everyone will continue to participate as they increase with the warm weather. As April is Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month, as Ms. Tota was talking about, our school community participated in events that were planned in conjunction with another one of our parent groups, the CPAG. And the efforts were to help raise the awareness and foster acceptance within our school. Today's event was to wear a CPAG t-shirt and our jeans to demonstrate our support in conjunction with a $5 donation to Autism Speaks. I know we had a lot of money in our fat envelope this morning in the main office, so I'm curious to see how much we collected as a district. Our environmental club, under the direction of Ms. Pistorius, held multiple Earth Week activities for all students to participate in. On Monday, the 19th, the students learned how to reduce waste in the kitchen while baking brownies with ingredients from a refilling store. On Tuesday, the 20th, students learned about the environmental benefits of growing their own food and planted herbs with seeds that were generously donated by a Valley View family. On Wednesday, the 21st, students upcycled paper scraps to make paper beads. This is a craft that dates back to the Victorian age. And then our culminating activity on Thursday, the 22nd, Earth Day, we held our annual Trash and Show, where students designed and made clothes out of recycled materials. I must tell you, the student designs were very impressive. Our Valley View Spring Picture Days were held on the 21st and the 23rd. Every student in school had their picture taken during the school day, and virtual students were invited to get their photos taken after dismissal. All families interested in purchasing the pictures are able to order them online. If you have any questions, please reach out. Believe it or not, marking period 4 began on the 15th, and report cards for the third marking period were made available to parents via Genesis on Monday, April 26th. Anyone having difficulty viewing their child's report card is encouraged to contact the main office for assistance. We also had scoliosis screenings begin to take place this week. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact Mrs. Sushevsky. And finally, our spring sports. We were so excited to begin our spring sports season this month. Softball, baseball, and track are up and running, and it's very exciting to see the teams back in action. Thank you to all of the students, parents, and staff, and the support of the Board of Education to bring it all together. We are looking forward to continued mild weather and an exciting fourth marking period. And having the students a little bit longer and all combined in Valley View is kind of like a dream come true. We're anxious to have them all back, combined cohorts next week. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Kidd. Last is enrollment, which stands at 620. It's 16 more than on the first day of school. And that will do it for this section of the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. We'll move to committee reports. Michelle, can you give us the report for Human Resources?
Sure. There are a few items on the agenda tonight. We have a reassignment that we discussed. There is a revision to a previously approved maternity leave, as well as a replacement teacher in the special ed that is being recommended for appointment. And we do also have a district substitute that's on the agenda for approval. The one thing that's not on the agenda that I did want to mention is that we did discuss the district's attendance at a recent job fair. And according to the superintendent, it went very well. So it's great to hear that there are some interest in positions that we have open or we might have open in the district. So glad to hear that. The last item I did want to mention of interest is there is a resignation on the agenda this evening. And I would encourage the board members, if they have not read the resignation letter that's in their board packet, to do so. I was very touched by Mr. Sin Sung Kam's letter. It was very obvious that he approached his job with a lot of passion and that the Valley View community meant a lot to him. He will be resigning. His last day is June 30th. So if you haven't read his resignation letter, I encourage the committee or the board to do so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. For operations, Adam, can you please, and finance, can you please give us a report for that committee?
Sure. Most of the conversation still centers around the long-range facilities planning, but we also talked about, talked with our technology provider about a few different cybersecurity efforts that we're going through. And let's see what else. Discussed a little bit about Phillips Field use and making sure that the fields are maintained properly. Little League is aware of that and using it. They're also installing a new scoreboard and running the electricity to it, but need a permit for that. We will need to, on the board, we'll need to approve a contract with the Joint Commission for transportation. Let's see what else. And then that's pretty much it. We'll be talking about the projects later on, so can wait until then for that discussion.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Jen, can you give us a curriculum committee update?
We met on Thursday, April 22nd. We looked at the calendar revisions for this year. Looks like right now that the last day, and Mr. Alexis, if you can just click June 18th, is that last day for students? Yes.
Yeah, it's the last day for students on the 18th, Friday.
Okay. We also discussed the iReady results that Mr. Alexis already mentioned in his opening remarks. And those individual reports will be going out to parents shortly. We also discussed the 8th grade commencement activities and related activities and the moving up ceremony and the activities planned at Bayberry for the 4th graders. Planning is still continuing with the parent groups and the administration. I think that, and we, of course, we discussed the hybrid model, and we are happy that we are moving forward on Monday. That's it.
Thank you, Jen. Joe, can you please give us a policy committee update?
Sure. In our last meeting, we largely focused on the second reading of materials that's in the packet for tonight, which covers roughly 14 policies and regulations, most of which are state mandated and were modest adjustments or modifications for clarification of language within those policies and regulations, but nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Board liaison reports. Rich isn't here, so I'll move to community engagement with Adam and Amber.
Yes, the Community Engagement Committee met with the IDEA Committee organization on the 21st of April, and we just discussed the books, possible books that they would be providing to the schools, and they're still in the process of going through that and getting the information. And a couple of other events that they're looking to host. I believe one is with the PTO and the other one would be the Juneteenth. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Amber. Somerset County Educational Services Commission liaison, Michelle, is there any update?
No update. And I just got that position, so I apologize for no update.
It's okay. Thanks, Michelle. Jessica, the Somerset County School Boards Association liaison, is there any update?
Unfortunately, I have no update either, although there was a meeting on the 14th. I wasn't able to attend. I am aware that they tape and record their meetings, and they are available. So I'm going to see if I can get that. And if there was anything pertinent, I'll share it via email or at a next meeting.
Thank you, Jessica. Amber, New Jersey School Board Association, any update?
There's no update.
Okay, wow, we're just flying through this. Community engagement, Mrs. Eisenberg Connecton, is there any update for the PTO?
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. So the PTO is very busy as we head into the spring. We are continuing our Food Truck Fridays. They have been wildly successful. It's been fantastic seeing everybody out there every Friday night. So this Friday, we're adding a fourth truck because we've noticed the lines have gotten a little bit long. So if you come by Bayberry every Friday from 4 to 8 p.m., this week you'll be able to eat with Arctic Dog, Chank's Pizza Cones, Mexi Flip Taco Truck, and House of Cupcakes. And then on Saturday, May 1st, the PTO is working in coordination with the Watchung Operation Pride and the Watchung Recreation Commission. Operation Pride is a townwide event that's beginning at 10 a.m. at the Texture House. It's a townwide cleanup. You'll get a t-shirt. They're giving out tree saplings. And then from 12 to 2 at Mobus Field, the Recreation Commission is hosting a spring craft. And the PTO will be there with, you've guessed it, food trucks. We're going to have Big John's Gourmet Burger Truck and Ice Cream Creations food truck, and that's from 12 to 2 at Mobus. Starting May 3rd, as you've heard quite a few times already on this call, the extended day will be coming to our students, and we're always going to be looking from now till the end of the year for volunteers to help staff the lunchroom at Bayberry from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., and you can take a half shift from 11 to 12 or 12 to 1, and the sign up Genius is available on watchungpto.com. So please sign up for a lunch shift, see the kids, help out, and make sure our kids get to stay in an extended school day for the rest of the year. In honor of Earth Day, we're hosting Grow Sunflower Grow. We're going to give out sunflower seeds at any of our PTO events and have a little contest to see how fast your sunflower can grow between now and June. And we just announced our spring fundraiser, a spring family photo session. The photo shoots will be on Sunday, May 23rd, and you can sign up for that at watchungpto.com. And we have plenty of fundraisers going on to support our 4th grade graduation committees and our 8th grade graduation committees. Our 4th graders are selling green Pura Vida bracelets, so you can order those through our website. And the 8th grade's got a Kendra Scott fundraiser going on through tomorrow, a Mother's Day sale with Jules Closet. That's a Watchung parent who owns a boutique in Warren. And on Tuesday, May 11th, there'll be Shop for a Cause at Vineyard Vines. And then the annual 8th grade car wash will take place this year on Saturday, May 15th at Valley View. You may have noticed some signs popping up around town. So please join us at Food Truck Friday, Operation Pride, and sign up for our spring photo session or one of the many 4th and 8th grade fundraisers. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Mrs. Kokiata, is there any WEF update, or is there anyone here from WEF to give an update? Oops. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Ms. Newsome, is there anyone here from CPAG for an update?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is well. I'm telling you, I'm so excited tonight. We had such an awesome month spreading awareness for autism. I just would like to give a special thanks to first our superintendent, Mr. Alexis, the board of education, special woo-hoo, special kudos to the director of special education, Ms. D. You represented in the schools with the activities, the Watchung PTO and executive board, you know, they held my hand, honey, and showed me how to put this thing together and execute. And when I tell you they were patient, that's collaboration right there, okay? Yeah, they did that this month. And I just want to say thank you so much, PTO and executive board, also the administration, teachers, parents, and students who supported this auspicious fundraiser. It was definitely a success. Yes, it was only our second one, but listen, like the saying, don't despise small beginnings. I just want to say with the donations and the t-shirt purchases, we were a little over $1,000, which is a lot for us, you know, just being 2 years in. You know, I'm so excited for, you know, where we come and for where we are going. We also had like a special treat for the class that raised the most, who purchased the most t-shirts, and Miss Black's third grade class did just that. So they are the winners for the free ice cream from Scoops Ice Creamery in Scotch Plains. They were generous enough to sponsor the students for this endeavor. So we are so excited. Also, special thanks again to the students and the faculty, Mr. Alexis, you guys, thank you so much for even representing with your t-shirts. Listen, if you haven't yet, you can still take pictures with your t-shirts on, with your family, walking. We're still, supporting autism, inclusion, all of that good stuff. So take pictures, even if you don't have an autism shirt, just take pictures uniting in the fight that our parents and children have to deal with every day. I would like to say during this month, I was able to conversate with a lot of parents in regards to autism, and we received a lot of positive feedback of how to implement spreading awareness going forward. So, like Mr. Toda said, Mr. Toda, special accolades to you. I appreciate you. I was in your ear, I was on your email, and you never changed. You was always consistent with me, and I appreciate you for that. Like I said, the collaboration is great. As you all know, we have been having our monthly meetings with special education with Mr. Toda, and some of the faculty, and it's really been awesome. And I'm just so appreciative. Some upcoming events we do have is our special education week. Woo, woo, woo! Coming up the second week in May. Stay tuned for that itinerary. And also for June. So, okay, where's the money going? The money we just raised. Okay, I'm glad you asked that. So the money we raised, actually what we're going to do, we were actually just going to do like a scholarship for a fourth grader and for an eighth grader. But given, the pandemic, and listen, all of our children have been striving. So we're actually just trying to get some things that we can give every student, every special education student that's graduating. We're going to be giving them a little treat just to say good job, and keep moving forward. So we're excited. We're all about just, spreading awareness and just making our children feel good so they can keep going. And that's it for now. You guys have a great evening, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Newsome. Ms. Williams, are you on, or is anyone on for the Watchung idea update? Don't see any, so we're going to move on to comments from the public on agenda items. We welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during the meeting when the public is invited to speak. The first opportunity to comment on agenda items only is now. The second opportunity for public comment is towards the end of the meeting. Total time allotted for public comment is 30 minutes. Before you make your comment, please state your name and address. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 30 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 3 minutes duration. Comments submitted to the board secretary prior to the meeting will be read first. Our public forums are not structured as a question and answer session, but rather are offered as opportunities to share input with the board. In instances where the board feels a response is needed, the presiding officer or superintendent will address the comment. New Jersey statutes do not permit the board to discuss personnel or hiring in public session, and names of students should not be used. Mr. Pepe, will you please read the statement due to recording of this meeting?
Members of the public should consider their comments in light of legal rights of those affected and identified in their comments, and be aware that they are personally, legally responsible with potential liability for comments that they make to the board. The board shall not be held liable for comments made by members of the public. At this time, any members of the public who wish to speak, please click the raise hand button and we will allow you to unmute your microphone for you.
Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so we're going to move on to action items. Jen, can you please move administrative items?
All right, I move administrative A1, approve minutes of previous meetings. A2, accept school security drill report. A3, approve revised school year calendar.
Can we have a second?
Second, Adam.
Any discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
I'm so sorry. Yes.
okay. Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey,
Yes.
motion's pass.
Okay, personnel. Michelle, can you please move personnel items?
Sure. I move the following items. B1, an acceptance of resignation. B2, an approve revised maternity leave of absence. B3, appoint special education leave replacement teacher for 2020-2021 school year. B4, appoint special education leave replacement teacher 2021 to 2022 school year. B5, approve NJFLA leave of absence revised. B6, approve unpaid leave of absence. B7, approve change in assignment. B8, approve 12-month employee calendar and office summer hours. And B9, appoint district substitute.
Can we get a second?
Second, Joe.
Any discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey,
Yes.
motion's passed.
Okay, Adam, can you please move operation items?
Sure. I move C1, approve payment of bills. C2, approve transfer of funds 2020-2021. C3, accept financial reports. C4, approve technology services shared agreement renewal. C5, approve placement for special ed out of district extended school year program summer 2021. C6, accept New Jersey Regional Future City Competition Grant. C7, approve professional travel and related expenses. And that's it.
Okay, can we get a second?
Second, Michelle.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey,
Yes.
motion's passed.
Okay, Joe, can you please move policy items?
Sure. Move E1, approve policies and regulations for second reading and adoption.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
excuse me, Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, we're gonna move on to board business. I would just like to, where we're going to discuss the potential referendum again. And I would just like to preface the discussion on the potential referendum with reminding board members to please not get into details about current security in our buildings or the enhancements. If there's a need to discuss those items in detail, then I would propose for all board members to hold off their comments regarding security and for us to move into an executive session after the comments from the public. I also want the board members who are not on the operations committee to know that after getting feedback from the majority of board members who are in favor of enhancing the field at Valley View, the committee is recommending to include enhancements in the referendum, but that item is still being worked on in the operations committee. The committee was and is conscious of keeping the cost at a reasonable amount. So once that recommendation is worked out in committee, the entire board will be made aware. I open the floor to discussions on the potential referendum.
Dory, I'll just jump in real quick. A couple of things that we discussed that we wanted to offer up. One being, well, first of all, thank the board members. You've all put in a lot of time evaluating the projects on the list, giving us really good things to think about, alternatives, ways that we could trim it down. So you'll see that we did trim out almost $1 million from last meeting. So thank you for all of the suggestions. Secondly, there's still been a number of questions that keep coming up. So we want to offer up to anyone who still has questions or concerns, a meeting directly with our architects. One of the members of the operations committee will join as well, but we've checked with them, checked with George, everyone's on board with that. So you can talk directly to the architects with all of your questions and concerns. And yeah, I think that's it for now.
Dory, if I can also chime in, I'd like to second Adam's comments, being on the committee. I think it's very refreshing to have, open discussion and dialogue. Nothing sacred. Everyone, I think, is being very thoughtful about the obvious needs of the school, but being reasonable in terms of what can be done and how it can be done, being creative about that. I'd also like to thank Mr. Alexis for his input with regard to the school needs, and again, being thoughtful on how to be creative and understanding dynamics of each of the insular projects, because they are individual pieces of need that of course the referendum would address. But it's important, I think, for the community to know that we've spent a great deal of time talking about each of these individual pieces, taking input from the board members that are not on the committee, and really challenging where we started at the beginning of the process in terms of what was needed, and how it could benefit the education for the students, which is the primary concern, but also the collaborative nature for the educators and everyone else as part of the journey. So, I just wanted to thank everyone involved. It's not something easy to do. It hasn't been done for a decade if we're going to go through this referendum route. But I think it's gotten us to a place that is, fairly amenable to the parties involved. So just thank you.
Well, I thank you both. I had a couple of nice conversations with Rich, who obviously chairs the operations committee, over the past couple of weeks. And I think after one of those conversations, you had a meeting where the total amount was trimmed down, which I think is a step in the right direction. And I think there were wise eliminations, I guess, if you will. I think, without getting into any specific projects, my thinking around this, since I've been on the board since it sort of evolved, since the inception of discussing referendum. This began as sort of a core list of projects that were really crucial and critical infrastructure needs to keep the schools running. And those were the HVAC and the electrical. And I think it's a unanimous decision to, that's an urgent need, and we need to fund it with outside sources. So beyond that, it's going to be a board decision, weighing what is nice to have, which a lot of these things are in varying degrees, with what has a potential to pass on a school construction bond ballot referendum. Because if it doesn't pass, then the critical stuff can't get done. So it's a balance that I think we all have to come to terms with, what we're comfortable with and what we think is wise, or if we want to gamble or if we want to be conservative. But I guess my own thoughts, if that's what we're doing here, is just that certain things are sort of non-negotiable. You have to do the HVAC that was planned and had begun with the rooftop units, the RTUs, the roof repair, the electrical upgrades. I understand the security nuts and bolts conversation will take place at a later time, but security needs are important. So there's a lot in here that's core. There's a lot in here that's just nice to have, and I don't think anyone disagrees, that it would be good to do this. I think you just have to weigh that balance. If you do it all, do you handicap your chances of success and then have to go out for another referendum just to get the critical projects done? And so one thing that I did discuss with Rich, and I think I may have mentioned in previous board meetings, is that I'm aware that other districts had success in itemizing their ballot questions for question 1, question 2, question 3, etc. So you go with your core needs, sort of your non-negotiable, as the first ballot question. And if that passes, and then the second question is able to be voted on separately, then that can pass as well. And I think I've come to the conclusion personally myself that would be a safe way to go to ensure that we meet the needs of the district on the first try. Because I don't think you would get a lot of objection to a core ballot initiative for critical needs. And I think when you get into remodeling art rooms or chorus rooms or media centers, that's something that I think the constituents should decide. So that's my opinion in a nutshell. Appreciate the work that's been done on putting it together.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Dory for not putting me on the operations committee. This is a lot of work that they've put into this. So kudos to that committee. I was very happy to see some of the renderings for proposals to Valley View. I was hoping to get the operations committee's feedback, because it looks like there's a couple of renditions for that field. So I was kind of interested to see what the discussion was, kind of where you all landed in terms of maybe a recommendation for that field.
We weren't, I know in the committee, we weren't happy with the initial ones. So we asked Frank and Pat to kind of go back and rework some things, but we haven't met since then. So we want to bring it back into the committee and then discuss it a little bit more, and then bring it to everybody. So yeah, okay. We all agreed that something should happen there, but we wanted to be creative with our approach, because we were really conscious of not we just worked to eliminate certain items in there to bring down the cost of things, and then we didn't want to then tack on some more stuff, right? So right. That's what we discussed, but we haven't had a chance to get together again to talk about what the committee would recommend to the full board yet. So I think Frank and Pat, who are here now, they did provide us with a couple more updated suggestions. But we just need a little bit more time to work in the committee on it.
Okay. And again, I mean, I appreciate this work, and I hope that our community understands that this is not a conversation that we take very lightly here. You know, we understand that if this were to be approved by the board to go to referendum, you know, we don't take it lightly that we're asking our community, or we might be asking our community to make an investment, you know, in the children of this town. So I hope they understand that these are conversations that are really being had with a lot of thought. And I appreciate what Jessica was saying. You know, I guess I kind of come at it in terms of looking at this past year and the impact that pandemic has had on our children of this town. And I think sometimes you have to go beyond what is critical in terms of the infrastructure, and also think of what's critical to children as they develop. And some of these items are not HVAC or you know, things related to making a building function. Some of these items are critical to making children be children and develop and have a good educational experience. So I kind of look at it in terms of that, because I've seen my children this past year, and for them to be outside, I never thought that would be something that we took for granted, you know, to be outside at school. So if we could give them playgrounds and a courtyard to be kids, you know, I think I hope many in the community really see that as an investment. And I'm a taxpayer too. I get it. You know, this is quite a bit of money. But again, you have to look at it in terms of, where do we want to take this district? Where do we want our kids to go? And what kinds of opportunities do we want to open their eyes to?
Any other discussion?
If I could add, Dory, too, I certainly understand the need to balance things. And I know we've spent a lot of time, and really it has been an exhaustive process in reviewing different plans and asking for different renditions and getting feedback. And absolutely, the infrastructure projects are critical to maintaining the building and making sure that we have a place for our students to come every day. But I really look at the educational enhancements, the learning commons, the art room, the upgrades to the music rooms at Valley View. I know that we took out a number of the projects and limited to just these critical ones. I do, and I know I voiced this, maybe I don't need to say it again, but I voiced it during the presentation, but I do really see them as critical projects, and not including them, I think, would be a real lost opportunity for the kids in Watchung.
I'll just add, I actually had, in my conversations with Rich over the past few weeks, I think I said it right away at the beginning when the courtyard or learning commons was proposed. I actually think that is such a wonderful use of space, and I actually consider that an infrastructure. I mean, it's a cracked blacktop right now, and it's used to park cars. I mean, if that could become central to the educational environment, that's something that I do think not only is an infrastructure project, but I do think that adding it into a referendum package, a lot of times referendums are centered around new buildings, new additions, something really snazzy. And this is something really snazzy that I think people could get behind. So just in case there's any misconception in terms of prioritizing for the sake of the constituents as they vote, I was in favor of including the courtyard learning commons in a core, as part of core projects. And I discussed that with Rich at least once, probably twice already now. But I still go back to, you know, at the end of the day, this will be between 15 and 20 million. And you're not telling people that it's not important if you have question 1, question 2, and question 3. I've never seen a referendum posed that way. But you have a question one, and if that's accepted, then you move on to the others, just as an insurance policy almost, so that the critical infrastructure needs are met, and then these other very important things. And you could pick and choose, and this would be up to the board and the committee to make a recommendation. You could pick and choose remodeling projects that could be included in the most critical package. But, you know, I'm not suggesting to eliminate anything, but I do think giving people options will ensure a better outcome.
Just a point of clarification, we're at 14.5 million right now after we reduced it by $1 million.
Right. So if I'm understanding correctly, the field enhancements that were just sort of briefly discussed would have additional costs that would almost certainly bring it into, you know, above 15.
That's not true. Yeah,
Not
that's not true.
necessarily. There are options that are barely 5 figures. So right now we're at 14.5. We reduced it by $1 million.
Understood.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, is there any other business to discuss? Okay, we're going to move on to comments from the public. Please remember to state this is on any item, not only agenda items, just anything. If you would please remember to state your name and address and to raise your hand so we can identify you, that would be great.
Hi, it's me again. It's Cal. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, my name is Kelly Newsome, and I reside at 15102 Diamond Court here in the beautiful town of Watchung. I just would like to just thank the administration and the teachers and the board members who are in agreement with the ADA bathrooms. The CPAC is also in agreement, but I must say it is pretty upsetting to know that a board member would lack empathy and oppose ADA bathrooms, plural, bathrooms with an S. You know, as a leader, you know, with a seat on the Board of Education, to lack empathy, the ability to understand others, can be detrimental for this district. For it's a shame that you don't even understand the struggle of a special needs period, unless it happens to you. You know, and it's mind-boggling because even before I was faced with having a special need, a child with special needs, I had empathy for others, whether they was in a wheelchair or whether they had any type of disability. I had empathy. You know, I didn't wait until I was faced with it on a daily basis to possess empathy, you know, and I just don't understand why it would be such a debate. If a general ed student can have options, why special needs has to be excluded? Why special needs student has to be different? That's the problem. That's what we have worked so hard in these last couple of years of building inclusion. And here we have a board member that wants to pretty much exclude us, you know, and it's really heart-wrenching, you know, to see this. As a board member, you know, you were voted into your position with hopes to advocate for not half or 3/4 of the district, but the district in its entirety. So if the board member is not here to advocate for all children, perhaps they should resign from the board and allow an individual with a heart to occupy that seat. The district needs to move forward with the board and administration to foster inclusion and to look out for all community members and not have respectful persons. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the public? Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Before we adjourn, I did want to thank Frank and Pat for joining us this evening. I appreciate, all of us appreciate you guys taking the time to be here. And again, if any board members would like to speak to DRG, you know, outside of the board meeting, just please contact Rich, and then the operations committee will make sure that that's set up for any board members. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion, Joe.
A second?
Second.
Jen.
Any discussion? Okay, any opposed? I'm sorry, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, I just want to thank everyone for coming out and joining us this evening, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.